Welcome to This Explainer. Ever wonder why some teams just kind of show up, clock in, clock out, while others literally show out? I'm talking unmatched energy, killer innovation, the whole shebang. Today, we're digging into a high-stakes choice every manager has to make, pulling directly from the Empower's playbook. We're going to dive right into that massive shift from just managing tasks to fundamentally transforming your team's culture.
Here's our roadmap for the 12 pillars of team transformation. First, control versus true empowerment. Then, sharing vision and voice. After that, navigating friction and pressure. Fourth, building autonomy and ownership. And finally, the future of leadership.
All right, Chapter 1, Control versus True Empowerment, the Foundation. Look at this quote. By choosing empowerment over control, you aren't just managing tasks, you are building people. Man, there is a profound truth packed right in there. It really challenges you to look in the mirror and evaluate your everyday style. Are you just, checking boxes on a to-do list? Or are you actively developing the actual human beings executing those lists? That right there is the dividing line.
So, that naturally brings up a critical question. How does a truly empowered team actually kick off its journey? It's one thing to want an empowered team, right? But how do you set that in motion on a practical, day-to-day level? Let's move to our first major theme and look at how leaders set the direction right from day one.
Chapter 2, Sharing Vision and Voice, the Journey Begins. Imagine two totally different managers handling a massive product launch. You've got the controller. They dictate absolutely every single step and expect robotic compliance. But then you have the empower. They share the big picture vision of the ultimate destination, and here's the kicker, they actually invite the team to help design the roadmap. By asking the team to build the map with them, everyone is instantly invested in the journey. It's a total game changer.
And this exact dynamic carries right over to how information flows. The controller gatekeeps data. They keep the team entirely dependent on them. The empower, though, they throw open the vault. They provide full context and total transparency. Because let's be real, you absolutely cannot expect autonomous action if your team is just operating in the dark.
We also see this clear as day when navigating change. The controller announces a shift, demands immediate buy-in, and pretty much dominates the room by being the loudest voice. Conversely, the empower respects the team enough to thoroughly explain the why behind a shift. They lead meetings with genuine curiosity, asking really deep questions. By doing this, leaders create a totally safe space for honest dialogue. And honestly, that's how you elevate the quietest voices in the room.
Now, it's incredibly easy to be an empowerer when everything is going flawlessly, right? But what happens when the plan completely falls apart and things get really difficult? Adversity is the true test. Let's dive into the crucible of leadership, where we get to see how leaders handle real, unfiltered pressure.
Chapter 3, Navigating Friction and Pressure, the Crucible.
When the weight of a project gets heavy, the controller naturally amplifies the stress. They make everything feel unbearably heavy for everyone. But look at how the empowerer operates. They act as a filter. They actually transform chaos into calm clarity. They filter out the extra noise so the team can focus strictly on what actually matters to get the job done.
And inevitably, in those high-pressure cooker environments, mistakes are gonna happen. It's just a fact. The controller immediately searches for a scapegoat by asking, "Who did this?" It turns into an instant witch hunt. The empowerer, on the other hand, searches for wisdom. They ask, "What can we learn?" Think about your own office for a second. When a mistake happens, contrasting a finger-pointing witch hunt against a collaborative learning loop, that makes all the difference in the world for long-term innovation.
What can we learn? Wow. There is incredible psychological power packed into those 4 simple words. It instantly shifts a team from a defensive, fearful posture straight into an offensive, growth-oriented mindset. It is literally the ultimate question to adopt when facing project failures, and it instantly builds a culture of safety.
This approach completely flips conflict resolution on its head. The controller points fingers and suppresses tension just to maintain this fragile illusion of harmony. The empower does something much harder. They treat feedback as a growth catalyst. By boldly facing the elephant in the room and actually naming the tension out loud, teams can work through that friction and emerge substantially stronger.
So, having successfully navigated that crucible of pressure and friction, how do you transition from just managing a crisis to building a self-sustaining ecosystem of excellence? How do we make this permanent? Well, let's explore how we actually release control to foster true, lasting independence.
Chapter 4. Building autonomy and ownership, releasing control.
Decision-making is a prime example of this transition. The controller intentionally hoards authority to maintain a sense of importance. They basically need to be the bottleneck. The empowerer explicitly pushes decision-making power down to the front lines. Pushing authority downward is exactly how you actively help your people develop their own professional judgment. I mean, they can't learn to make brilliant decisions if you're the one making all of them for them.
Next, consider how we establish the rules of the game. The controller uses rules as traps to catch people slipping up. They rely heavily on the fear of consequences to drive performance. The empowerer? They use transparent standards as guides, fostering a true culture of mutual respect where accountability is fair and it's direct. When standards are a transparent compass rather than a hidden trap, it becomes incredibly obvious to everyone what winning actually looks like.
And when that win inevitably happens, the controller quietly absorbs the credit for the success, happily taking the bow. But the empowerer enthusiastically shines the light right back on others. Sharing the spotlight is absolutely critical. It ensures that every single contributor feels seen, feels valued, and is ultimately motivated to keep pushing boundaries on the very next project.
Which brings us to the ultimate destination. An empowered culture is defined by these core traits: mutual respect, fair accountability, shared spotlight, frontline decision-making, and transparent standards. These are the absolute hallmarks of a team that has successfully replaced mere obedience with deep, enduring ownership over their work.
Which naturally brings us to a really compelling question. Where does this evolution ultimately lead us in the modern workplace? Let's move to our final section and see how all of this builds into a forward-thinking philosophy for tomorrow's organizations.
Chapter 5. The Future of Leadership. Synthesizing the Pillars.
Empowerment is a self-sustaining ecosystem of excellence. Shedding the restrictive habits of the controller isn't just a nice, feel-good thing to do, actually. It is the absolute only way to build a resilient, high-performance organization. Think about it. When you fully empower people, they begin to empower each other, and suddenly excellence practically becomes automated. So, I'll leave you with this final thought to evaluate your own path forward. Will your leadership legacy be one that merely controlled tasks and demanded robotic compliance, or will it be one that genuinely empowered people to truly show out and reach their absolute highest potential? That choice is entirely yours. Thank you for joining this explainer. Keep learning, keep empowering, and we'll see you next time.